There's no place like the Cube. In 2021, Ricky became the first Black trans male artist to land #1 on any music chart.
I don't know how, but I know who. I'm a very spiritual person, and sometimes you don't know how God gonna do it, when it's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen, but I know who's in control of it. I believe that I've experienced too much in my life, my personal life, my journey to get here, to not fully embrace who I am, to not show up proudly, authentically, whether it was poetry, whether it was rapping, whether it was any form of art. My words carry power.
Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn here, and I am the host of the award-winning Queer News Podcast. And we back with another exclusive interview, and this one is well overdue, like real long time overdue. But I am so happy to be here today with 2 a.m. Ricky, what's going on?
What's up, friend? How you doing?
Friend, I'm great, and I'm so happy you're here. And for everybody who's listening, watching, wherever you are getting this wonderful content, you may not know who 2 a.m. Ricky is, and I'm gonna own that because it's taking too long to have him on the show. And so if you have never heard of 2 a.m. Ricky, I'm just gonna embarrass the hell out of him and just read just why you should know who he is and why you should be listening to his music. In 2021, Ricky became the first Black trans male artist to land #1 on any music chart. Okay, with his single "What You Own" featuring CeCe Peniston, who was all y'all queers' favorite. Okay, period.
That's my auntie.
It peaked at #1 on the LGBT urban charts for 10 weeks, also making history. Okay, he's also had several sync placements. Was the first trans man to grace the cover of Obvious magazine in the 2022 fashion edition. Can I also say he's received Pioneer of Culture at the Trans Life Awards and a Forbes Black History Maker. Okay, Ricky just been out here making history for a very long time. His latest single, Move, debuted at #12 on the US iTunes electronic charts and peaked at #3, making another historic moment. Because I just want y'all to know, that's what Ricky do, okay? And Move was also Grammy considered, what is the words, Ricky?
Yeah, so it was Grammy considered for Best Melodic Rap Performance.
Period. Also making you the first trans man to ever be in that category too, right?
We might as well just take it to clean sweep on it. Breaking records, breaking history at the same time.
All of this is what I'm saying is the reasons why I wanted to talk to Ricky, because that's what we do here. We talk to LGBTQ folks, queer folks who are artists, influencers, politicians, who are making moves, who are really making change out here in the world that I believe you should know about. Ricky, after all the embarrassing history-making things you have done and I have said out loud, I'm just glad you're here, my friend.
Hey, I'm happy to be here, friend.
Yeah. And so let's just jump right in. I feel like you are an affirmation person. I feel like affirmations would be part of your daily practice. It's part of mine. And I wanted to know, what would you be willing to share, maybe 1 or 2 of your affirmations that are helping you get through all the things right now?
My favorite one is I don't know how, but I know who. I'm a very spiritual person, and sometimes you don't know how God gonna do it, when it's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen, but I know who's in control of it. So I don't know how, but I know who is my go-to to affirm myself. And also when life is hectic and I'm like, ooh, what's about to happen here? I'm not one of those look in the mirror and be like, you are smart, you are kind, you are important type of people when I do my affirmations. I do my affirmations in song. And so I write what I want to manifest into my life, into my lyrics. And I always say by the time it's time for it to be presented to the world, I've either already made progress to that manifestation or I'm probably living in it by the time y'all see it hit the stage.
I love that. And family, don't be mad if you're one of the people that look in the mirror and be like, I am enough. Okay, that's just not Ricky's thing.
That's amazing. That just don't work for me. Because I'll look back at myself and be like, are you sure? So
But I love that first one. Say it one more time for me.
I don't know how, but I know who.
I don't know how, but I know who. I think that is the quintessential entrepreneurship journey. I don't think we often think of musicians as entrepreneurs. I don't know why. You too took a big leap of faith to decide to do this full time and to do your art and to be who you are 150% of the time, which is not something that so many people choose to do out here in the world, especially when they pass. But you choose to do that. Tell me why.
Oh, why? So, one, I believe that I've experienced too much in my life, my personal life, my journey to get here, to not fully embrace who I am, to not show up proudly, authentically, good, bad, or indifferent. Because I know that if someone's listening, if someone's watching, there's a kid or maybe even an adult somewhere that can also connect, that also feels the same way. And seeing something that looks like representation to them might be their reason for moving forward.
Real. That's real. And another reason I want to have you here, because people like you are the folks who we need to be amplifying in the community, because it's not an easy choice to make. You are the person that folks need to be supporting. I'm wondering, Ricky, was this always the dream? Was music, being this artist, always what drove you?
So what's funny is I've always done music as long as I can remember. I remember being a kid and sitting at the bus stop and I would write lyrics on the glass and my mama would cuss me out for having fingerprints on her glass. Because I'm sitting there trying to write songs in the cold. I thought I was gonna be a singer, and then puberty
Hmm.
hit. And then I was like, "Ooh, we're gonna have to find a new course." um, but I
I need a
knew
new
that
key.
you said what?
Um,
Yeah, a new key, a new course, something gonna have to give. I could not hit the Mariah Carey notes after 12. That just was out the door. I realized that whether it was poetry, whether it was rapping, whether it was any form of art, my words carried power. There was something that influenced people. They were something that people listened to, even when I wanted to just be the quiet person in the corner. So I knew that music was something that I couldn't get rid of because I knew I had a lot of skills, but I didn't know what I wanted to do other than make an impact.
and how has music changed your life? How has music allowed you to make an impact?
For me, for one, y'all heard all those histories and breaks and all those things. I get to chart a new course, not only for people of trans experience or just queer people alone, but I'm a black man in the South. You know what I'm saying? I was born and raised in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I now live in Atlanta, Georgia. And so that's black history. That's a intersectional experience that it doesn't matter where you come from, a lot of people can relate to. Music has allowed me to take some of the darkest moments of my life, being in group homes, being going through abuse, going through neglect, going through being a child that I don't know how to put a word to how I identify, but I'm raised in a very religious home that they know the words, but they don't want to say the words. And be able to find meaning to them, be able to
Mhm.
find power and positivity in a story that a lot of people would think is very dark, is very bleak. Um, I seriously got in my music journey back in, I say around 2015, when my best friend was murdered. My best friend
Mhm.
was murdered on the campus of my college university and was hung from a door. And he was the one person who used to tell me, literally, you're going to be this person. You're going to be 2 a.m. Ricky. You're going to transition. You're going to make this music. You're going to do X, Y, and Z. These people are going to listen to you. I don't care if you don't see it in yourself. It's going to happen. And this is how it's going to happen. And everything that he spoke has happened and
Mhm.
transpired. And so I also feel like music has allowed me to carry a legacy that's not my own. Every time y'all see me step on stage and I come alive, y'all see a part of someone who's no longer here on earth being able to be alive with me.
First, thank you for sharing that. And then I also know your grandmother was a big part of
Yeah.
your life as well, right? Who someone else you've also lost. How have these losses continued to inspire you to really continue to be who you are out here in the world?
Ooh, it's been heavy. It's been hard. I lost my grandmother recently. Lost her literally in October, so it's only been a few months. And music has kept me alive. The days that I can't get up, I don't want to breathe, I don't want to move, I don't want to do nothing. I type, I write, I
Mhm.
release. A lot of people don't realize. They were like, "Oh, you said, what did it mean?" I'd be like, "I don't know, friend," because when I listen, I view my songwriting sessions as conversations with God. I pray before I
Mhm.
start writing, and when I write, I don't really catch on to what I'm saying until I listen back, like y'all do. So the same way you can listen to a 2 a.m. Ricky song and you catch something different every time, I do it to myself all the time. And I'd be like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, that's what I felt. That's what I thought. That's what I said. That's what the Spirit put on me." That's powerful. And it allows me to be able to give therapy to myself even when I'm grieving, which is also why I use the theme of being lonely throughout my music, throughout my branding, because I feel like we're all lonely somewhere. sometimes we're just not vulnerable enough to open up about
And it's something about being lonely but never alone. And so when you
it.
talk about these conversations with God, you have to tell me more about the foundation of that. I'm not sure if I've heard it put exactly that way before from a songwriter. So tell me how these conversations with God go, because me and God be having a lot to say about this roller coaster ride. Okay.
Yes. So one of my favorite songs is, I have a project called Carolina Boy, which
Okay.
actually was the EP that was like the introduction of the rebrand of 2 a.m. And in The Well, on Carolina Boy, there's a record called The Well that literally goes, heavenly topics, conversations with God got people feeling awkward. And it literally talks through being in a space of not knowing what's next, not knowing where to go, but knowing that there's something in me that has to get out, even if I don't know how to release it. And
Mhm.
going through the battles of being human. You want to do the right thing. You want to make sure that if you're going to be in this place of being a public figure and having this influence and having all these things, that you honor it. You know what I mean? When people are in my comments or in my DMs, making sure, how do I make sure that I'm attentive to them and their needs, but also honor my own self-care of, there are days where I don't be having it in me. Or
Yeah.
someone's looking at me and they need a word of encouragement. And I'm sitting here like, I'm grieving. I don't got one for
Mm.
myself, but still being able to having to muster something up. There's a spiritual sense that I think that comes with being a songwriter. And I believe that whether, even if you're not Christian or over religious, there's a spiritual sense that comes with that, because music is the most powerful form of communication. And so for you to be able to find words out of nothing, a feeling and emotion out of nothing, and communicate it and touch thousands, millions, you know what I'm saying? However many people you reach, that's a superpower. So it takes being able to, one, be in tune with yourself, be in tune with your higher being, and also be able to know, I got a superpower that no one else has. Let me make sure I use it wisely.
And I feel like you've been using it, okay? So let's talk about the latest single, Move. Move went a whole lot of different places, set all different types of records. When you made that particular track, did you know, yeah, this is the one?
Funny enough, yes. I didn't know that Move was going to do what it did. I knew that it was going to be a powerful record. So, funny story, Anna DeShawn exclusive.
Okay, I love it.
um, Move was actually created in 2020, 2021. And at the time, I was going through my first real experience of the industry and the lack of inclusion and acceptance within the industry. I was
Mhm.
dealing with producers and big execs who would try to tell me that you have to walk around stealth. No one is going to accept a trans rapper. You have to do X, Y, and Z. They kept me for 3 months from even recording Move, because when they heard the beat, they said, when people hear this beat, they're going to know that you're part of the gay community. It's going to
Wow.
clock you. I said, "Ooh, straight people knowing what clock means. This gonna be fun." So I did Move and I did the CC Peniston records both around the same times. Both were done in one takes, and both, when I walked out the
Ooh.
booth, they jaws dropped. Because the irritation and the fight back that I felt from so many people within community who had the same dreams, I feel
Yeah.
like I released it in the booth when I went and I recorded this song. So I knew that Move was going to be a powerful record because I knew what it meant to me. I knew it was like a fu back to the industry,
Yeah.
and it was also a reaffirmation to myself of, the man that they're trying to discredit is the same man who's going to change the world. It's the same man that can
Mm.
make people move in a good way and dance, in a movement way of creating a movement of positivity and justice and inclusion within the industry. And it manifested again. It manifested into exactly what I thought.
And it did. Okay. And even when as I hear you speak, I have to uplift your activism and your advocacy. Okay, rappers ain't walking around talking about intersectionality. So tell me where you get it from. Where does the activism come from? Where does this desire to always intertwine social justice into your work, into your interviews? Where does that come from?
I think that just comes from life. I think that comes from
Mm.
me always being counted against. I've always been the underdog. I've always been the black sheep. And when I was in school, I wasn't a bully, but I liked to bully the bullies because I just felt like if you was gonna pick on someone your size, like how about you pick on someone like me who I'm gonna fight you? And that's the same.
That part.
That's the same approach that I view with life with anything. I feel like if from a perspective of being a person of trans experience and being able to be blessed to have the opportunities that I have, I know that's something that I've gone into a lot of doors that a lot of people have not been able to follow me through or been ahead of me. I walk in there with no blueprint. There is no other trans man for me to call on and say, what do I do? How do I do X, Y, and Z? I can't call Jackie Shane on the phone to say, Jackie, what did you do when you was trying to get your Grammy? I can't do these things. And so I know that means, as much as it means enjoying the music, as much as it means enjoying the moment, it means always remembering that there's a bigger picture in the back of my mind and not being afraid to call that bigger picture out.
And I think we at the point too where we got to call folks in, hold folks accountable, be about the work and all the ways in which we show up. I tell people a lot with the podcast, politics is such a big part of it. It is queer news. But I will never stop doing culture and entertainment because this is the culture and it is entertainment that is always 20, 30 years ahead of what's happening in politics. And so the work and the music that you're creating and the paths that you're laying is going to lay the foundation for the next group of trans folks, queer folks who want to be themselves out here in the entertainment industry.
Right.
And eventually the politic is going to catch up.
Yep.
But in the meantime, culture, entertainment, community will take care of each other.
And a lot of people like to discredit entertainers, not even just queer and trans, rappers in general. A lot of people like to discredit entertainers, influencers, like we don't have a space when it comes to advocacy and social justice. They want you to shut your job and then shut up. But we're honestly have more influence than a lot of politicians. Young children will learn a song before they learn the 50 states, right? And if the same thing that the babies are looking at, they're dressing up as Michael Jackson. They're wanting to be Beyonce. They're wanting to be just like us. So they're looking at us before they look at the president, before they look at the Congress, before they know who their governor and their mayor is.
Yes.
They're looking at entertainers and influencers. They're looking at streamers now because streaming has taken over even journalism in a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
So I think that especially in this era, if you don't allow people in the entertainment space to have the same amount of respect as the person that you would look as the executive director of a leading nonprofit organization, you're going to miss the mark of how to actually directly touch the community that a lot of people are trying to even impact in the first place.
100%. I think the Democratic National Convention did a beautiful job having a content creator stage in the midst of it. Let me tell you, traditional media was not happy about it. Okay. They also need to get over themselves. And I think that we're in an age where podcasting and content creators are showing just how influential they are. I think I think the impact that TikTok has had is the reason everybody wants it to go away. Because when people begin to find their voice and create an audience and begin to make a stir, then they don't have control. And we can never overlook the impact of culture and entertainers and influencers on our everyday lives. But I also want people to know about what you got coming up, because I also want people to support. Yes. Family, do not leave this interview without following 2 a.m. Ricky, without going to listen, downloading the albums. Okay. Do not leave this interview without doing that. But in the meantime, you got stuff coming up. Projects are dropping very soon, and we want to tell the good people all about it. So you got a new project coming up. It's going to be dropping in May, and it's named Don't Forget to Call, right? Tell us about that.
So, yes, Don't Forget to Call is a follow-up on Listen If You're Lonely. And is an exploration of a theme of grief. And not grief in the sense of just someone passing away, but grief in the sense of, in order to be successful, in order to get from point A to point B, from dreaming about something to actually walking into your purpose, something has to die. And a lot of times it's ourselves. And so in order for 2 a.m. Ricky to have done all of these firsts and done all these things in these last few years, the human part of me has had to suffer, right? And what does that look like? How does that feel for me? What are the stories behind that? What are the perspectives of the people in my life? You know what I'm saying? Who they may have been impacted by this. the women in my life who they got their opinions and their thoughts and they feel. And
You
even
out
the
here breaking
stories,
hearts. You out here breaking hearts, Ricky.
I'm not even breaking them. I just minding my business. But even sometimes in minding your business, there's a level of grief to people because if they're used to the old version of yourself who's available, who has time for this, who might not been matured, and now they have to meet this version who's very mature, who's very sure of themselves, who's very confident, who's going on this spiritual journey that there's it's like a brand new person. It's ooh, you're not here for my fanatic, and that's a grief for them too, right? Having to process death and process death in the sense of still moving forward. When my grandmother passed, I was still booked. I had to go perform at VSU the day before my grandmother's funeral. Drive 3 hours, get dressed, get up, get dressed, and I ran my grandmother's funeral because my grandmother was never allowed to see me perform, so that was her show that she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And still, as soon as I got home, had to hit the road. And as much as people were empathetic of sorry for your losses, once I had to go on stage, I still had to turn the human grief off that wants to just go cry and be the person who can impact everyone else. What does that look and feel like? And so don't forget to call as a reminder sometimes for us to don't forget to call on ourselves. Don't forget to call the people who actually matter to you because you're so busy trying to chase your dream that somebody is getting left on the sideline. Don't forget to call on that higher power when you getting lost in the turmoil and life is getting you starting a life. And it's also a reflection of my journey with sobriety, right? Don't forget to call on the purest, most innocent form of you. And as we go and we mature, that's easy to get lost in the sauce too.
Say more about sobriety. How long have you been sober?
Oh, so I stopped drinking in December and I stopped doing all the other things at the beginning of the year.
All the other earthly
Things.
things, huh? When did you stop doing that?
At the beginning of the year. So I stopped drinking December 20th of December of last year and then all the other things at the beginning of this year. And it's definitely been a difference. It's definitely been a difference. It has not been a perfect journey. I have slipped up. And even when I slipped up, I was like, ooh, I don't like this. That's sobriety. It's been it's been a journey of clarity. I feel like I have so much clarity that I haven't had before. I got to a point in life that I said, you've gone through so much. I reflected on my own journey of transitioning, of music, of life, of grief, of going through abuse and neglecting all these things. And I realized I had never knew what it was like to be pure because I had always been around some type of something, whether it be people with addictions, whether it be some type of, I had never known what it meant to be pure. I asked one of my relatives, what's the youngest you can remember me having any type of traumatic experience? They said you were 2. I'm 27. And so that's 25 years of nonstop something and having to find a distraction in it. And so I said, well, I owe it to myself and I owe it to the people who they thrive off of 2 a.m. Ricky showing up as his best self to see what does this look and feel like. And what it's going to look and feel like is the project y'all are going to hear.
I can't wait. You know, we have chapters. I feel like we all have all these lives we're going to live. You've lived a lot of lives already. And so now you're living this new sober life. And new music is going to come out of it. And I'm excited about it. But that's not the only thing you're doing because that is never the only thing you're doing.
Of course not.
You also have an upcoming retreat called Move to the Mic, which I think everybody who's listening needs to hear about this so that you can tell a friend who needs to be at this retreat. Can you tell the good people about it?
Yes. So outside of what I do musically, I have something called the Move Initiative, which focuses on mobilizing resources for BIPOC, queer, and trans creators. So that's music artists, that's producers, songwriters, visual artists, no matter what your medium is. In September, October, we are focusing on our music creatives. We're doing Move to the Mic, which is a 3-day songwriters retreat focusing on songwriters, or black queer songwriters, artists, producers. We're gonna bring y'all to Atlanta. I am partnering with Blaze Unlimited, an amazing music library, to provide access to studio spaces. You all will be working on music to go into the library so that you can actually receive sync placements, get your songs and music and TV shows. You'll be able to release the music. We have some amazing workshops. We have a workshop with the Recording Academy around DEI in the music industry. We have Tammy Luttrell with the Mezzo Agency coming in to do some business admin. We have some execs coming in to do office hours so that those who may have never had the opportunity to just sit and talk with someone, you'll have 10 to 15 minutes if you so choose to block out these times with these execs that you can meet one-on-one. And then we also have some mental health aspects coming in. So it's going to be an amazing 3 days. When the application is open, please do not bombard me because I don't pick y'all.
I love it. You take yourself out of that part of the process. That is a smart
I got a team
move.
for that. And y'all will never know who these people are to fight them. So y'all don't fight me.
Hello.
Figure out who they are and go fight them.
Okay. Focus your energy.
Your energy.
I think that is so incredible because there are so many other ways to be in the music industry and not be the person out front. Right.
Yes.
I think people in the music industry have all types of journeys. You're a singer, you're a songwriter, you're a rapper, right? You're a producer. You do all types of things. And I think oftentimes we only see one thing, but family, there are so many ways to show up in the music industry. And so when you talk about the jingles and the writing and the insert, all these other ways in which you can make a living, which is what most people just want to do. They want to make a living doing their art. There's so many ways to show up and do it. And the reason we're telling you about it, even though it's happening in September, is that these applications are dropping in like May. So you just need to be on the lookout because the way Ricky and his team plans, okay, you need to be early, not late.
Please be early, be on time, have your application ready. There's a $25 application fee. That's so that we can weed out the people who are actually intentionally wanting to come, because we do not want to select someone who is not serious about showing up, and that space could be held for someone who really could value the opportunity.
Facts. And I can't let you leave, Ricky, without dropping some advice on some folks who may be queer, maybe not, maybe a person of color, maybe not, who want to get into music, don't know where to start. What's some advice you would give them for their own journey?
For one, don't get rid of nothing. I still to this day have binders of notebooks of stuff of lyrics I wrote when I was a child. Don't get rid of anything. Every idea is a good idea, even if it don't fit what you're working on. 2, no is a love language. And that's a love language that you have to constantly hone and craft, especially if you're going to navigate the industry. Because sometimes no has to even be sold to yourself, right? Not only just to other people, it's got to be sold to yourself. And that's the biggest part, because as a creative, you're going to want to do what you want to do when you want to do it. And sometimes you got to tell no. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing that I would tell someone is, a lot of people like to say, don't stop dreaming. I like to say, don't stop working. Because faith without work is dead. You can sleep and dream all day long, but you have to put those dreams into practice. So, in the little things count. Taking that extra 10 minutes to do some research. Taking them extra 10 minutes to scroll and find people on LinkedIn. That's how I found you, Anna. You know what I mean? Like, actually just taking that extra little step that you feel like doesn't matter. That little step that you think doesn't matter is the step that someone else is forgetting to take. And that little step is going to be a big step to a big door opener for you later on.
Yeah. I'm still working on the no one. Still working on the no, okay, working on the people pleaser part. I'm almost there. I'm almost at a breakthrough.
It's a love language. It's a love language. It's a love letter to yourself.
Yes.
It's the biggest I love you can give yourself or anybody else. No. I say mine's like that with a smile. No.
I think with the smile is the extra touch. Okay, that's the extra touch that's needed. No. I love it. Ricky, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, friend.
Yo, family, you already know what to do. Go follow 2AM Ricky across social, IG. Ricky, you everywhere, yes?
Everywhere.
Literally. So go do that ASAP. Download the tracks and be on the lookout. Ricky's got all this amazing stuff coming up. You don't want to miss it. And we got to support our own. Literally, we are all we got. Period.
For sure.
Peace. If you've enjoyed what you heard, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is written and produced by me, Anna DeShawn, and brought to you by E3 Radio and distributed on The Cube. We are Queer news done right.